divide by a negative. If I give you these two equations and you are solving on your test tomorrow, when you divide this by -6, that switches your inequality from a greater than to a less than. You are going to have 1/2 x, and then it would have been -2. So these were the two equations that you should have graphed. And the answers are in the back as you were looking at your graphs for that one. So starting with your y-intercept of 2.5 and a -2 slope, and the second one starting at -2. As I looked at question number 21 also, is there a question on? So 21, since 60x plus 55y has to be less or equal to 500. The easiest way to solve this is when you are looking is find your x, your y-intercept, and your x-intercept. They do not come out as nice whole numbers, but you should easily be able to replace x with 0 and solve by taking 500 and dividing it by 55. And then replacing y with 0 and taking 500 divided by 60. That's how you're getting these two numbers. So going back to a couple units ago when we found standard form x and y-intercept. The second equation said that they can drive, they have to drive no more than 10 hours. So if we're going no more than 10 hours, that's going to be x plus y. The hours driving has to be less or equal to 10. And the other thing it says is that the person driving slower drives fewer hours. So our slower person is y. So the other equation is going to be y is less than x. If one person drives 4 hours, the other one has to drive less than that, right? It has to be always, whatever the one is, the y is going to be less. And so when you looked at that equation, as you were looking at those, that was one of the things where people were kind of making mistakes. So that's why this equation is this one is the y is less than x, right? This is your y is less than x. And then these are your other two. 0, 10, 0, 10. Oh, that's from this one, right? So when you looked at that equation, when you're looking at this equation, your y-intercept would have been 0, 10 and 10, 0. Whereas here, it's a little above 8, and this one was a little above 9 that we did here. This one was a little, I think came out to be what, like 8.3? Yeah, and this one was like 9.1, maybe if I wanted to round it, right? So that's these 2 points. Okay, so that's where that one was, and then the other one. Other question, 31. So 31, when I take a look at that solution, and again, I'll put these up today on the daily planner as you were looking at that. 31, if you are writing those equations. If I ask you to graph this, I probably won't ask you to describe the region or the vertices, but I might give you 3 equations or 3 inequalities and ask you to graph. The other thing on the test is you are looking, so we have our 8 questions. It is going to be worth 50 points. And again, I'll put that in on the out of 100% when I put it in. The test is tomorrow, 12/4. Your video must be done before you arrive in class. I limited you to, I think, was it 2.5 minutes or something like that? So So, I mean, I had some people do it in 30 seconds, but I had some of you that took quite a bit longer. You want to shorten it up. So, 8 questions on the test tomorrow. So, it says, the first part, the first standard is that I can model real-world problems using linear systems. To me, this is like your D6 writing equations. Some of D7, where you have an inequality, okay? So it might be writing a story problem with an inequality. When I look at those 4 questions, they are worth 6 points each. And notice it says you will write the system, you'll have a break-even question, you'll have a mixture, you'll have a wind speed, and then the last one will be an inequality. Okay, so when I am thinking about the 4 types of questions that I am seeing, you're going to have a break-even. When you do break-even, what do you have to start with? Expenses and your profit, right? You're going to have a mixture problem. You're going to have a wind speed, or it could be a bird question, like you're going with the wind, with an airplane or with the bird. It might be a boat problem, like you're going with the current and against the current. Okay, so that type of question. And then the last one will be an inequality. The inequality, when you write it, it will have 3 inequalities. So when I say 3 inequalities, I would look at the notes that we did on Friday from D7. So D7 notes for like that inequality, writing it, and then the D6 where you had to write all those equations. The second standard, I can solve linear systems algebraically. I don't care if you use substitution or elimination, but what you will see is one of these 3, like the break even, the mixture, or the wind speed. You will do that part of the test, you'll turn it in, then you'll sit down and you'll pick up the second half of the test, and each of these is worth 6 points. And then I will give you the correct equation, so that if you would have made a mistake writing the mixture or the wind speed or the break-even one, if you made a mistake writing it, I'm going to give you the correct 2 equations, and then I'll ask you to solve it from there. So I am not going to grade on the fact that maybe you didn't know how to write it if you then know how to solve it. So that'll be worth 6 points. Then the last thing that you will do is you can solve a system by graphing. This will be the inequalities. There will be 2 questions to get the rest of our points, 7 points each. Okay, so I will actually give you the inequalities. Up here, you have to write the inequalities. Kind of like you have to write these 3 like I had for number 27 that we just talked through. You'd have to write the first one, the second one, the third one. That'll be on the first part of the test. The second part of the test, I would give you these 3 and ask you to graph it. So I'll give you the inequalities and then you'll just graph it. You'll do the shading. Okay? Question. Page, you will see that you start with the first one that you are starting with, you're looking at cakes and pies, and you are looking at how many of each one. The next one says how many dollar bills. Then you're looking at finding, that's a wind one, right? That's like going upstream and downstream. Number 3 is that type of a question. Number 4 is your percentage one that you are taking a look at. In number 3, it says you need to find the speed of the current first. You're going 60 feet in 3 seconds. What is your speed going downstream of the salmon?
20 in 1 second.
You're taking 60 feet per 3 seconds, right? So that's going to give us 20 feet per second. You need to know this first. Then it says it takes 12 seconds for the salmon to go back upstream. So this is going downstream. Then you need to find the upstream when they're going. You're going the same 60 feet, but now it takes you 20. So you need to find this speed. You need the speeds in number 3, just like you needed in one of the story problems on D6 in order to solve it, okay? Number 5, again, you see the hint. Find the speed, right? This is the speed, right? When we look at this, they're only telling you how many minutes in miles. Now, if you're going to find the speed in miles per hour, 30 minutes is how much of an hour? Half or 0.5 of an hour. And if we are looking at 20 minutes is what fraction of an hour? 20 minutes is 1/3 of an hour. Okay, because that makes a big difference when you're solving that. So You're dealing with how many copies to break even. Expenses, you should start it with telling me your expense and your profit. And usually you're dealing with dollars and items. Items is the X, dollars is the Y. So when you're doing those. Here, oh, we're going to find the speed of the wind. Again, you need to find the speed. If we are looking at this, they don't give you it in the speed as you are looking for. So answers are in the back as you're checking those. Question number 9 is the one on the test where I will ask you in 9 and 10 to write the inequalities first. So if you take a look at number 9, as you look at number 9 and we are writing an inequality. As we read number 9, Helen, you want to read the question for us?
You have a gift certificate to a bookstore worth $60. Each paperback book is $7 and each hardcover book is $14. You must spend at least $25 in order to use the gift certificate. Write and graph a system of inequalities to model the number of each book, kind of book you can buy. Let X equal the number of paperback books and Y equal the number of hardcover books.
So they are telling you this is your paperback, right? They are telling you that this is going to be your hardcover. X and Y. So Evan, if I'm writing inequality, what do I know? This is going to be standard form, slope, intercept. What are we thinking? You have constant rate of change when we look at that, or do we have more of a question that we're looking at standard form?
I don't know.
Do we have a rate of change?
Probably.
You do? What would you tell me is the rate of change in number 9? Do you have a rate of change? Yes or no, do you think? Like a slope rate of change when you read number 9.
Probably.
What would you say it is?
Probably 7.
But isn't that $7 for each book, and $14 for the other one? Is that a rate of change, like so many dollars if we're looking at it? So, I mean, I agree that we're spending $7 on each paperback and $14 on each hardcover, but wouldn't that be more like 7x plus 14y, and the amount of money we have to spend is what? We have to spend at least 25, so we could say it has to be greater or equal to 25. What's our other equation going to look like? It's going to be pretty much the same, except it's going to be less or equal to 60. But this is still going to be, so standard form should be what I'm looking at. So when you start setting this one up, in that second equation in number 10, I would say, again, you probably should use standard form, and then you're going to have an X and Y, and please make sure you're checking those in the back. So